Good day everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Desiree Coetzee and I am a micropigmentation specialist. So that is a fancy word for someone who does both cosmetic permanent makeup as well as paramedical tattooing. Today I want to discuss with you something that's extremely important to the success of your procedure. We have all seen those people out there with red or green or blue brows that look as if it has been drawn on with a marker. And today I am going to explain to you one of the reasons that can happen. So one of the most important factors in what your permanent makeup would look like is undertone. We have an undertone and we have an overtone. And I know that I think it was in 1970 to 1980, it was very important those days to have your color made what looks best on you when you wear clothes. It's similar, though not the same. And there are 6 different undertones. We call it a Fitzpatrick. So Fitzpatrick would go from very fair, usually someone who have like red hair and freckles like Emma Stone, to very dark. There's a beautiful model, and unfortunately I do not know her name. She's really dark. You often see her on the catwalks with big companies such as Chanel. She would be a 6. So if you're very fair, you are usually a 1. If you're very dark, you're a 6. Now Tina Davies, she is one of the few people who sell pigment who will include one of these for you. And here is an example. So you can see there's not a 0. A 0 does not exist, but anyhow, so you'll see from 0 would be a 1 all the way to usually a 6. Now, you cannot just look at someone and say, well, you're a 1 or you're a 2 because you're very fair. That's not how it works. I am, for instance, warm. The colors I'm wearing today, that's wrong. If someone did my color theory, they would say I'm a spring, which I am, and they would say this is not for me. This is more for someone who's cool, okay? And I did this purposely. Someone who's warm, they would also say, oh, you look good in gold jewelry. That has nothing to do with it either. But you can see I'm wearing both silver and I'm wearing gold. And you can clearly see which looks better on me. I know you've heard all of that. Someone who's warm looks better in gold jewelry. Someone who's cool looks better in silver. Not completely true, because if you're neutral, you'll most probably look good in both. And how are you gonna go about this? So now your client walks in its virgin skin. You're gonna ask them questions because it's gonna depend on many factors. The Fitzpatrick works on this. Do you have light blue, gray, or light green eyes? If they have that, you can leave a comment. I can get my assistant to send you this form, this PDF. So if you have light blue, gray, or light green eyes, you will give that person a score of 0. Look here. There's the question and there is the scores. You'll give them a score of 0. And at the end of the day, you're going to add up all these scores. Then you're going to ask them if they have blue, gray, or green eyes, like not light, like me. I have definite blue eye. They're not light, they're not extremely dark, they're blue. Then you will give them a 1. If they have dark blue or hazel eyes, I have a daughter, she literally has navy blue eyes. People love her eyes when they see it. They are fascinated that someone can have blue eyes like that. You will give them a 2. If they have dark brown eyes, you're giving them a 3. You get the idea. And if they have black brown eyes, you will give them a 4. Okay, so that would be the eyes, and they all get a different number. Then you're going to go on to the hair color. Now, everybody colors their hair nowadays because that seems to be the thing. And you need to make sure and ask them, is this your natural color hair? If their hair is blonde or red, especially if it's red, you're going to give them a 0. If it's very blonde, I have a child with flax blonde, almost white blonde hair, naturally, that would be a 0. If they have like a sand color blonde or like a yellowish blonde like me or a light brown, you're going to give them a 1. If they have dark blonde or medium brown, you're going to give them a 2. And if it's light brown, it's a 3. And if it's dark brown or black, obviously it's a 4. Okay, so let's do my color theory and decide what I am. So we already know I have blue eyes, so I get a 1. We already know that I have sand color, light brown. I'm actually really blonde, but anyhow, that will be a 1. Then this color of your skin. Is your skin reddish? If it's reddish, a 0. If you have freckles, I don't care if you have black hair. If you have freckles, your skin, you will give the person a yellow. Is the person pale? Now, pale would be someone who's really fair, or is the person pale beigey hue? So I would say I'm more a beigey hue. I'm not that pale, as you can see. I do have some color, so I will get a 2. Then freckles. If the person have freckles, and ask them if they have freckles on the back of their skin. Sometimes people go for treatment that takes away the freckles, but naturally, if they have freckles located on any area of their skin, and it's many, if they say I have a lot of freckles, like my husband have no freckles in his face, but his back, he has a lot of freckles. And make sure it's not sunspots, make sure it's freckles. If he has many, or the person, it's a 0. If they have some, a few, then you'll give them 1. If they have little, they'll get 2. If they have hardly any, I don't have any, I don't get freckles, so I'll get a 3. And if they have nothing, they get a 4. Then what happens if you stay in the sun long? If they say it's painful, I go blue, red, I get blisters and peel, never tan, 0. If they say blisters and peel but do sometimes tan, a 1. If they say burn and sometimes peel, they get a 2. If they say hardly burn, so I don't peel, but I will tan like a golden brown. So in my case, it will be very difficult to decide, am I a 2 or am I a 3? Since when I was a child, I did peel because I grew up in a country where there was a lot of sun. So I am going to give myself a 2. If you're unsure, always ask what happened when you were around about 15 to 17, because then we were young and we were pretty much in natural shape. Then you ask them how much they tan. If they say hardly ever, 0. If they say very slight tan, I'll peel and I'll have a slight color, they are 1. If they say I get a pretty tan, then they are a 2. That's me. My tan is really pretty. So is my assistant. I can see she gets a really pretty tan. So I would do, if you say you get very tanned, and that would be my assistant, you would get a 3. If you say I tan quickly, I go in the sun and I'm like within an hour I'm brown, that would be a 4. Then it comes to how quickly does this tan come. People will say never, other rarely, other sometimes. It comes quickly, often, always. I don't really ask that question because to me it's sort of a repeat of the next one. This was developed by Dr. Fitzpatrick, and this is why we call it the Fitzpatrick test. Then you will ask the person, how does your skin react to the sun? Is it very sensitive to the sun? Is it sometimes sensitive? Is it normal, what one would expect? That would be me. So I'm a 2 right there. And if someone says I have a high resistance to the sun, you'll give them a 3. And if someone says I never have a problem. And people be careful, because people of color, such as if you are Hispanic, you can burn, you can be sensitive. So don't look at someone and say, oh, but they Latino, they Hispanic, they African, they Indian. That doesn't matter. We all can burn because we all have different melanin in our skin. So do ask these questions. Then you will ask them, when last did they go out in the sun? So if they live in Florida like I do, obviously I'm in the sun all the time. So I'll get a 4 there. If someone is in Florida, but they only live inside their house in a bubble, then I suppose you'll give them a 3 for. So this would be, I haven't been in the sun for 3 months, and that would usually be someone sensitive to the sun. I haven't been in the sun 2 to 3 months. That may be someone living in England or where the sun doesn't shine often. Then you work it up. So let's add. Here we gave me points, and we're gonna add up my points. Okay, let's add up. So we have 1, and 1 gives you 2, plus 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9, plus 2 is 11, plus 2 is 13, plus 2 is 15, plus 4 is 19. So I fall right in the category of a 3. So if you do my brows, I am pretty neutral, but I'm a warm neutral. How do we know that? Because you can see I have warm tones. You can have someone like my assistant who's a 3 who will be a cool neutral. Experience will tell you this. If you're still unsure, buy yourself a piece of gold and silver cloth, and this is what you do. But people, you have to get their undertone correct, and that's going to be the most important thing, because you are going to put pigment in, and the pigment will heal, mix with whatever their undertone and their blood is. So it's important. Okay, everyone, we're back. This is Katie. I'm Desiree, as you know, and to discuss once again our color theory. In a nutshell, I've given you a lot of information today. I've changed my clothes, everything. In a nutshell, if it's difficult, just get yourself, and we will link this to our Amazon store, get yourself a piece of gold cloth and a piece of silver cloth. If you can, that's shiny. And then when your client comes, because looking at Katie and I, you would say, oh, we're very similar, but we're really not. She's a cool neutral. I'm more warm. I'm a spring. In the 1980s, they had that whole color thing, what clothes you must wear. So we're going to wrap this and make sure your client's hair doesn't show, because nowadays people color their hair. And if you look, you will see that the gold looks better on me, let's swap, than the silver. So Katie, she can pretty much, because she's a neutral, she can pretty much pull both off. So this brings out the dark circles under my eyes. It's just bland on me. It does nothing for me. That does not look as good on her as the silver does. Just stay like that, Katie. Okay, can you guys see? So we have both colors on her now. She can pull off both. Though I would suggest her husband one day buys her a platinum ring and not a gold ring like I have. Okay, so that should make it easier for you. I'm sorry the intensity of the two cloths aren't the same, because it would have been more obvious, but I suggest you get this for yourself, and that will help. If you put in me a cool tone, it is going to turn blue on me, or purple or gray. However, if you put in a warm neutral, it will be correct. The permanent makeup will stay and it will look beautiful. On Katie, I would suggest you go a neutral always, or a cooler color, not warmer, because if I put something warm in Katie, it's going to turn red on her, or even it's not going to last long. It will not look good on her. Okay, got it? And remember, always wake up with
makeup.